And the title of this mini podcast is Being Where You're Not. Here's a distinction that occurred to me. There's a difference between planning and being where you're not. I will attempt an explanation. Planning is the easier of the two to explain because it's something we conceptually know, a blueprint for our goal. Some of us confuse planning with being where we are not. Being where we're not is getting ahead of the plan, whereas planning is a step-by-step tool to get ahead. From experience, we know that the best laid plans can fall apart. Either something was poorly planned or we ran into reality, better known as unforeseen circumstances. You can't cross a river until you get there. You can imagine you've crossed the river in advance by rehearsing it in your mind, but you can't actually be on the other side until you're there. Being where you're not has you believe you're physically there when you're not. One version of history tells us that Columbus thought he was in the Indies, a reference at that time that meant South and East Asia, and he named the inhabitants Indians. That's a textbook example of being where you're not. Our version of being where we're not has us live under the delusion that we are anywhere other than where we are. That causes a lot of avoidable turmoil. When you stop and take an unbiased assessment of reality, you may find a giant gap between where you are and where you think you are. This gap is a giant hole that we fall into every time that prevents us from moving forward, even if we have a stellar plan. Thinking you are where you're not has the same result of lies catching up to you. There will be a price to pay. You can certainly continue to daydream that you're a king or a queen. That may act as a carrot to move you forward, but if you think you're actually running the kingdom, you'll get swallowed up by what's in the moat between where you are and where you're not. Final thought. You'll be where you are until you're not. Perhaps an assessment and a plan will actually get you where you want to go. All the best, John.